Exiles, I have some really good news for you. The new path of building has showed up. If anybody's familiar with the POB from PoE1, this is going to be very similar for you. There are some minor changes, and for anybody new, well, this is going to be a complete game changer for you. As you can see here, I have basically my leveling ranger as far as I am right now in the game. If you come by the streams, you'll see me progress this character, and I've imported it here. What I mean by that, unfortunately, is not that you can import it directly in like you can in PoE1, but they're working on that. It will be coming in the future. What I mean is that I started here with my character once I selected Ranger and my ascendancy, and I one by one clicked out how much I have, just copied it straight from the game. In the future, you'll be able to hit that import button and import my build, Rax's build, anybody out there. You'll be able to import their build directly. You can currently import a build here. So if you find a build guide that has a code, you can put it in here and go ahead and hit that import button. You can also share this with your friends by hitting generate, and it'll generate a code specific for you. Decide where you want it to go, max roll, POB, or PoE Ninja, and then hit share. It'll create a smaller version of that code for you, and you can copy that, and it makes life a whole lot more simple once you hit that share button and get that smaller code. But for now, you have to do everything manually unless you have somebody that has a code for you. And that's also really simple here. So like I said, this is just my actual tree in the game. And it shows that I'm level 28. The POB does not keep track of how many skill points you enter. So I could come the whole way up here and it doesn't care. It's going to tell me how many I have, but it's not going to tell me whether or not I have at this level that many points to use. It does change, so if you keep an eye up there, you'll know what's going on, but it's not going to tell you if you have the extra points from killing the snake in Act 2. So keep an eye on that as something to think about. Also, as you can see, there's no ascendancies here in the middle. They are all on the outside here. So in my case, I went Pathfinder, and there it is. Now I can click on the ones that I want to use, and it'll tell me what's going on. Another nice feature of this is if I hover over, it'll show in this case no changes for allocating this node. However, if I come up here and come down here, it'll tell me not only the changes for that node, but that and every node to get to it. So something to kind of think about. It really makes planning much more simple. And if, for instance, I wanted this node, it'll show me the fastest route. It's highlighted here. You can see it coming down the side. Boom. What's a little off about that is if I want that, but I want to come from this side, I've got to come up and then over. And I'm going to get to what that is in a second, and then come over. So in the new PoE 2, you can put any attribute you want here. So they did that. It's very simple. If you click that, boom, you can make it dexterity, allocate, there it is. The next one, if I right click, it'll automatically be dexterity. So I don't have to go back and hit that every time and figure out which one I want. It says you can also do it this way. The easiest way I've found is once I have dexterity and that's what I want, I know that my next skill points are all coming up here. So I'm going to hit that. I'm just going to hit dexterity once, and now they're all dexterity. So that makes life a whole lot more simple too, especially as a lot of these trees are coming down for the gemling stacker, for instance, coming straight down here from the middle and then all the way up to the outside. And they're all going to be the same, intelligence or strength roll. Now you can do it here much more simple. Something else I kind of wanted to talk about is if I have 5 points to spend and I want to know the best place to spend them, I can hover over some of these things and figure out what they're going to give me based on where I'm at now and where I need to be. So if I know that I need to get here, one, it tells me what the despair, greed, what the emotions are that I need to anoint it if I wanted to anoint it. But it also tells me that allocating this node alone by using despair, greed will give me 80.6 DPS, and if I allocate this node and every one to it, then it changes to 120.9, and it again gives me that path on what the quickest path is going to be. So this is going to be an absolute game changer, and this is just the tree. The tree is going to be also kind of where I figure out, as I'm going through what I'm looking at, what my DPS is, what's going on. And in this case, it says my main skill is barrage. It's not, it's gas arrow. So I'm going to switch that over, and it's going to give me the actual numbers for gas arrow as I'm playing the game. This is very accurate with where my life is, where my res is, everything based on this, but also the items. So for what I've been doing, if you will minimize this and you see that I have this Widow Hail here, this Widow Hail is awesome, except for it's 268 out of 250. So you're not just going to be able to willy-nilly throw that in there. It's a little bit of extra stuff. So what you can do is I pick it up, I put it back down, and I hit Control C to copy. Just like you would in any text document, anything else, copy is the same. I hit Create Custom, and I Control V paste. It now pasted my 268% corrupted double socket with everything in it. And then I would hit Add to Build, and now when I come over here, I've got my Widow Hail, and when I hover over it, it is the Widow Hail I have in game right now. The other bow that I have that's actually equipped is this one. And so now what I can do is once I put all of my stuff, all of the gear that I'm wearing in there, I can hover over it and go, well, if I use the Widow Hail, I lose 289.2 DPS, but I gain 0.29% attack rate. Well, I want the DPS, so I'm going to use the rare bow. You can do the same thing with your jewels. You just got to pull them out, put them back in, Control C, copy that, throw it in there in your Create Custom, hit Add to Build. You got to make sure you hit Add to Build when it shows up. And then it'll be selectable over here based on what your tree has. So I only have one socket, so it only shows one socket available to be able to have a jewel entered into it. Once I get better flasks, again, I'm level 28. So once I get some better flasks, I'll be able to have something better in here. But I wanted to show you right now that as you're looking at your DPS numbers, if your flask is, say, the unique one, and you want to know what your total damage is completely filled out with all of your skills in your full DPS, which is this button here is not checked normally. So you have to check it to get your full DPS, which means that I have Gale Force going. Obviously, it is always going. With Gas Arrow, with an Ignite, I'm going to get 993.9 damage. But that only happens when you hit full, including full DPS. So if I take Wind Dancer off, you'll see that it drops everything. And it also still goes back to the old PoE 1 style where, it asks where this thing is currently socketed. PoE 2 does not do that, so I've individually listed each one. And again, my DPS is right about 1,000 when I'm playing the game. So everything works out the way it's supposed to. Last two things I've got for you. The notes section. If you have Pox, for instance, doing RF, and playing right now, if you watch him, he has probably the most detailed layouts in all of his planning builds. He puts an immense amount of time into it. So please take a look. Maybe the build guide you're following is following suit and it makes it easy. Strength you can make red, dex green. Just if I come down here and I click say lightning, and now everything I type is in that. Everything from there on out. If I highlight, I can make it normal. But again, some of these creators are going to make this very clear for you, and it is only going to be a benefit to you to pay attention to that kind of stuff. And then lastly is configuration. I'm going to tell you 100%, I am not smart enough to figure this out, so I follow somebody else's build guide when it comes to this. or I leave it blank and I underestimate my numbers. If you hit that show all configuration, there are an awful lot of people that know all of these things, and you can figure out what your actual DPS and stuff is going to go through. Clicking over here, how far did you get? What did you choose? Did you choose the all attributes? Did you choose the 15 or 30% from charms? And all of this is going to change what that number is because it has an effect on your character. So take a look at what this is, kind of, play with it, and that's what it's designed for. How can you get the most damage, the most defense out of a build is all going to come from here, just playing with it and figuring out, well, the build guide said I should choose this, but maybe I want to play around and choose poisonous concoction. What does that do to the build? What does that do to the numbers? Now we have a way to find that out. Once GGG catches up, you'll see things like this, where right now it says filter by item stats. It should update so that you can copy directly from the trade site. When you copy from the trade site, it's the same as hitting Control C on your character's gear, except for it's here, so you don't have to manually type this stuff in. Because that is a possibility. You can come in here to the items, and if I do a search and I double click, well, there it is. So now I've got to slide this bar on where I want it. It's still going to be a huge benefit to anybody that's trying to learn how to make their own build, see if they can make somebody else's build a little bit better, or just understand why they went somewhere. Because if this is somebody else's build and they went here, and I want to know, well, is it more efficient to go there? Or if I click this back off, is it more efficient to go there? Which one's going to give me what? And so now I can find that stuff out. And that's an enormous benefit. But anyway, I hope this helps. If it did, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great day.